Hey, good afternoon to you. It is 5:06 here, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we are making sense of the news. Coming up on the program, a lot of craziness coming out of MSNBC these days, like truly, truly crazy stuff. Got some audio for you ahead. Also, dueling statements on the death of a University of Georgia woman, student there, nursing student, at the hands of an illegal immigrant. Both leading candidates for president have released statements on her death. We can compare and contrast coming up. You can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. A barbaric scene yesterday outside of the Israeli embassy right here in Washington, D.C. A man who, it is now confirmed, was an active duty member of the Air Force, stepped outside in front of on camera, recorded all of this on his own phone, and stepped outside in front of the Israeli embassy, poured some sort of flammable liquid all over himself, and then self-immolated, lit himself on fire. Take a listen. I've got some audio for you here. This is the man walking over as he's about to do this, and he starts chanting "Free Palestine." Take a listen.
I am an active duty member of the United States Air Force, and I will no longer be complicit in genocide. I'm about to engage in an extreme act of protest, but compared to what people have been experiencing in Palestine at the hands of their colonizers, it's not extreme at all. This is what our ruling class has decided will be normal.
He sounds remarkably calm. I mean, it's got to be some sort of mental illness that would lead to this. And then he tilts the camera phone up against some sort of prop. He props it up somehow, faces it at himself as he lights himself on fire. Now, somebody sees what he's doing, goes, "Sir, can I help you, sir? What are you doing, sir?" And then he engulfs himself in flames.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Man's on fire! Man's on fire!
Yeah, I'll spare you the rest, but he fully engulfed himself in flames, yelling "Free Palestine" over and over and over again. The man, 25-year-old Aaron Bushnell of San Antonio, thinking he was going to start some sort of Arab Spring in the United States, something like that. For more on this, I want to bring in Kurt Schlichter. He's a Townhall Senior columnist, retired infantry Army colonel, and the author of the book "We'll Be Back: The Fall and Rise of America." Kurt, good to have you back with us, sir. Thank you.
Well, great to be back. And let me start from the beginning. I have nothing but contempt for this disgusting, treacherous narcissist. He is a bad person. He's an idiot. He's a moral illiterate. This is a guy who was supporting his country's enemies. Those bastards that he's burning himself over murdered dozens of Americans. They're holding Americans hostage. As a uniformed member of the United States military, this guy broke multiple laws and his oath. And this idiot caused irreparable damages to his family. And unbelievably, there are people out there who probably loved him. Their lives are now ruined because of this narcissist's idiotic stunt. He is a disgrace. He should be mocked. We should belittle and make fun of him because, you know why, Vince? Because I want other weak-minded individuals, and it's always the weak-minded ones who get to be the suicide bomber or the guy who lights himself on fire or whatever. It's never the cadres. It's always the morons. Maybe some other moron will say, "Oh, I'm not going to be treated like a hero. They're going to be making Weekend at Bernie's jokes about me. I better not set myself on fire."
You know, Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, who is constantly shrouded in secrecy. We don't know anything about his activities, including when he's hospitalized. Lloyd Austin combed the entire military in search of extremism. Apparently, Kurt Schlichter, he missed this guy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, was this a surprise? Was this was this idiot piping up about, stop genociding Gaza?
Yes.
Well, that's exactly what we're trying to do. Sadly, it's the Gazans who want to commit genocide. I'd be very interested to see if his chain of command was aware that this mental defective and moral illiterate was, setting off signals about what he intended to do.
Well, look, just to give you a sense of who he is, I mean, National Review had a piece up pretty quickly yesterday afternoon digging through his internet presence. His LinkedIn profile demonstrates that he listed his pronouns as he, him, as if it was a mystery. On his Facebook page, he liked groups that included the Burning River Anarchist Collective, as well as Students for Justice in Palestine, Kent State University. He also posted things. He also posted things. What would I do if I was alive during slavery, or the Jim Crow South, or apartheid? What would I do if my country was committing genocide? The answer is you're doing it right now, he claimed. So we've got all sorts of red flags popping up all over this guy.
Well, I mean, he was doing what leftists like. He was, all his ideas, and I use the air quotes because they're not really ideas, they're just mindless hack cliches, are accepted and embraced by the same people who are pulling the strings of the desiccated, moronic, half-wit pervert who's masquerading as our president right now. I mean, this idiot's politics are the politics of our White House right now, and therefore not just accepted in the military, but actively embraced.
Yeah, meanwhile, you did say, you talk about this guy and the impact he's having. I do see some people, members of the left today, think that this was wonderful that he set himself on fire. I did see one social media conversation saying that he should, quote, rest in power. And then another lefty attacked that person saying, you're not allowed to say that. That's only reserved for black people. So the left is having a normal day today.
Well, he's black now. It's funny.
I did see one of the follow-up quotes was actually, "Would you accept black end?"
Look, and I know I was saying things along these lines on Twitter. Huffing and puffing. How dare you? This is a horrible tragedy. Yeah, I'd like to prevent more, and one of the ways you do it is by telling the truth.
Yes.
The guy's an idiot. He's a narcissist and an arsonist. He's a moral illiterate, and he should be mocked. And frankly, the pain his parents and those who loved him are feeling is not going to be increased because some random guy on Twitter told the truth. Yeah. This guy has ruined his family. He's disgraced his uniform. Watch how there's a general officer at his funeral. Just watch it happen.
Well, I don't know has the White House said anything about this today? It's like, normally you would think you got a active duty U.S. military service member just set himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy. There was diplomatic questions involved, U.S. military questions involved. You think the White House would have something to say? It looks like this is one of those things they're just going to ignore.
Oh, I'm sure if asked, that moronic half-wit. Wait, I got to be more specific. Claudia Jean-Pierre, whatever her name is. I'm sure she'll say something stupid about it. Oh, this is a terrible tragedy. It's not a tragedy. It was a deliberate choice by a traitor to the United States who embraced our enemies, who violated his oath and the law, and who harmed the people around him because of his narcissism. It's not a tragedy. Okay? This is just somebody cleaning out the gene pool.
It's amazing. It's just amazing. All right, let me shift gears to a very different topic with you, because I know you've been very focused on what's going on at the RNC because you'd like to see the country improved. Ronna McDaniel, who runs the RNC right now, has announced that she will resign as the chairwoman of the Republican National Committee effective March 8th. That would be just before Super Tuesday. She said in a statement today that I have decided to step aside at our spring training on March 8th in Houston to allow our nominee to select a chair of their choosing. She says the RNC has historically undergone change once we have a nominee, and it has always been my intention to honor that tradition. Your reaction?
He chose her. I was there. I watched his chief of staff lobbying for Ronna McDaniel. Look, I like Trump. I want Trump to win. But Trump needs to hear the truth, which is you screwed up by appointing this moron who has failed in every election cycle since she got the job. What is it, like 6 or 7? I mean, she fails and fails and fails, and yet he backed her. And maybe in that way he will learn and not fail again. The RNC is a total disaster. You and I had a chance to talk a little at CPAC about the lawfare component, how we're going to fight for election security. in the courts, and they're absolutely not ready. They're just not ready. After I talked to you, I went, I did a little research trying to track this down. Is there someone in charge? Since there's no one in charge, and it's all her fault. The next guy better figure it out.
I'll get to and just on that issue, I've been obsessing over this because I think normal people obsess over this, which is how ready is the Republican Party for all of the legal issues going into the election. And I talked to you about this on Thursday or Friday when we spoke, and this is a big deal. And I am digging and finding out more information. Hopefully, we have some positive answers in the weeks ahead, but. Working on that. Meanwhile, there
aren't any happy answers.
I hope there are something out there, but again, we'll dig. So, Donald Trump has endorsed a man by the name, I think the last name is pronounced Whatley, Michael Whatley, chairman of the North Carolina Republican Party, to succeed Ronna McDaniel. And as you point out, Donald Trump chose Ronna McDaniel to begin with. Well, she used to be called Ronna Romney McDaniel until everybody dropped Romney collectively. So. What's the deal here? Do you have a sense of this Michael Whatley? And of course, I imagine either way, you are concerned about what the future of the RNC looks like.
Well, I hear he's an attorney, but simply, look, we're not even to the attorney part. We're to the operational part. Who is in command?
Right.
Who is the staff? Where's the support staff? When somebody goes, well, we've got 15 lawyers on this. I don't care about the lawyers. I want to know about the paralegals.
Yeah.
I want to know if they have the staff to do the things they need to do. It's like saying, well, I've got 7 colonels on it. Great. You got 7 guys to sit around and drink coffee. Who are the people who are going to do the actual work?
Right.
That's what I want to know. What's the organization? What's the plan? How's it integrated? How are the various state operations connected? Because the states are all different, but they've got some overlap. And they have to be able to, shift focus from one state to another when things get hot, and it's just terrible.
And one thing the RNC clearly needs to recognize is that there is a problem with the enthusiasm of their own base that is entirely predicated on assuming failure on the part of their leaders. So if you can demonstrate that you're doing something and actually show people results and give them routine updates on a daily basis as to what you're actually doing for them, then people feel better about grabbing an oar and rowing in the same direction, don't they?
Vince, you are so right. If Ronna wasn't a complete idiot, okay, she's a very, very stupid person and a bad leader. If she wasn't such an idiot, if it was Kurt Schlichter in charge, every Monday I'd come out and I'd say, here is what we're doing. Here is the organizations we set up. And I'd like to invite a few people from, Daily Caller, from Town Hall, from Fox News to come in and take a look at our organization to report to you people. So, when you write a check to us, it's not going, to pump out, to puff up my lips or to get some flowers or for my limo or dry cleaning. You're getting a legal team in Wisconsin that's going to make sure they can't rip us off again.
And there's a life lesson built into this too, which is and you know this as a military leader, it's like if the people who work for you aren't telling you about what's going on, chances are they're not actually doing anything. Like if you're not getting any updates, chances are nothing's happening and nobody's taking responsibility.
Yeah, Ronna McDaniel was always more comfortable sucking up to stupid donors. And as you know, because you've been involved in Republican politics for a long time, there's literally nothing stupider than a major Republican donor. These are the dumbest people on earth. Okay, I mean, they are literally human rocks. I don't understand how they got rich in the first place. And her whole thing was sucking up to them and not doing the hands-on hard work that she needed to be doing. What the hell was Ronna McDaniel doing on, Fox talking about policy? I don't want to hear what she thinks of, trans things or the border. I want to know what she's doing to create an infrastructure that's going to, chase ballots in Michigan. It's all the stuff that needs done is the boring stuff, the hard stuff, the stuff that takes brains and smarts, for which she is uniquely unqualified to do.
All right, Kurt Schlichter. We'll leave it there because we're up against the clock, but I hope you keep insulting them into excellence. I really appreciate your time, sir.
I will mock them into conformity.
Mock them into success. All right, that's Kurt Schlichter. Thank you, sir. Good to talk to you as always. All right, let's go to line 4. Justin calling in from Wilmington, North Carolina. Justin, good afternoon. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show. Hello, sir.
Hey, Vince. I was calling because I was quite disturbed by the audio of the military guy who set himself on fire.
Yeah.
Listening to everything that he said, and your guest, he said weak-minded people. Well, weak-minded people are vulnerable to lies, false ideologies, misinformation, and go as far as false prophets and anything. The guy, he seemed to be under the influence of everything that is deceptive and deceivers. And it just shows you how insane these false ideologies and all this propaganda and anti-American and anti-Israel propaganda is doing. It's like he burned himself up in a satanic ritual of the left. It was disturbing.
It is. It's super disturbing, and you're right. It's first of all not surprising to see that all of those things traveled in tandem. He's listing his pronouns on his LinkedIn, and says he's a part of an anarchist collective, and he's against Israel, and he supports Hamas. The whole thing is crazy. And then he lights himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy. It was like a religious event for this guy, where he just like closed off. It's entirely on faith that he's out there, and now his life is over.
It's disturbing, and there are so many people that are under the influence of deception, and I see everything through it's either righteous or it's wrong. It's either good or it's evil, and what that guy did, what he said was evil.
Yeah, evil, for sure. Justin, thank you for the call. We've got a lot of members of the military who are calling in, too, and I want to take your calls in just a moment. Again, 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. What do you think of what just took place? You've got an active-duty airman goes out there, lights himself on fire in front of the embassy right here in Washington, D.C. A rapid response by first responders, Secret Service. They get out there with fire extinguishers, put the guy out, but not in time. As quickly as they moved, they couldn't stop that. He died last night as a result of his self-inflicted injuries. But what is happening right now? What's the Biden administration going to say about this? They had a lot to say about January 6th. Said, veterans were in the crowd. They're all extremists, they said. What about this? That's ahead. Hey, good afternoon. 5:35 here, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. Coming up, more information on an illegal immigrant murderer, a response to that, the killing of a University of Georgia nursing student. Some responses coming from both Joe Biden, Donald Trump. Also, we have some crazy audio from MSNBC. We'll see if we can't get to that. And Winsome Sears has just done something very interesting in the state Senate in Virginia. A lot to talk about. You can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. We were playing some audio and also talking about this Air Force, active duty Air Force service member who just set himself on fire yesterday in front of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C., screaming "Free Palestine" over and over as he burned to death, which is just horrific. He captured it on video himself, and then apparently, I guess a friend, I'm not really even quite sure how that video got distributed, but a friend must have had access to it and then distributed it to the media and across social media, and that's how the world got to see it. The first responders tried to move quickly, but they weren't able to move fast enough. That fire engulfed him in under a second. It was very fast. He doused himself in some sort of chemical to get the fire going. Although he had trouble getting the lighter going for a while. They just kept going and going, and I'm like holding my breath. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe what I'm seeing right now. It's horrible to see. Let's see. I'm going to take some of your calls on this subject. I've got Robert calling in from South Carolina now, line 1. Robert, good afternoon. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, Vince. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
Hey, listen, first of all, prayers go out to this guy's family. Horrible event. But, you know, being retired military and currently working for the government, for the military, you know, we've had to go through some training to weed out, you know, extremists in the military, mainly conservatives, Republicans, particularly Trump people. I'm curious, you know, where's General Austin? Where's he at? If you supported school rights for parents, you're an extremist. If you supported Donald Trump, you were an extremist. If you Googled January 6th, you were an extremist. Where's he at now? We have a lot of folks, just like this kid, that have been brainwashed in the military. Where's he at?
So, Robert, you said you went through this extremism training. Did this subject come up? This particular kind of left-wing lunatic, pro-Hamas, self-immolating person? Did that come up?
Oh, no. It was a lot of conservative issues and things of that nature. Went through it military, went through it post-retirement as a civilian and for DOD. And, you know, these things did not come up in that. Anti-gay, anti-transgender, those type of things came up, but nothing along this lines came up. And, you know, I got to tell you, Vince, I mean, I'm a retired officer from the military, and these things exist. And that's the true extremism, right? I mean, to set yourself on fire in support of a terrorist group. We have a lot of these folks in the military. Where is General? I know he's the Secretary of Defense, but where is General Austin on this?
Yeah, I want to remind people of what it sounded like in February of 2021. This is right after he became Secretary of Defense. Here's Lloyd Austin saying, we've got a lot of extremism in the military, and we've got to stamp it out. Here he is.
Think about the promise that you made to yourselves and to your teammates and to your fellow citizens. I also want you to share with your leadership your own personal experiences with encountering extremists and extremist ideology in the military, should you have any. And I want your leadership to listen to those stories. And I want them to listen to any ideas that you might have to help us stamp out of the ranks the dangerous conduct that this ideology inspires.
It appears they did not stamp out this ideology, did they, Robert?
Well, no, they didn't, Vince, and they were looking for the wrong ideology, quite honestly, because they were chasing patriots, and so yeah. But Vince, thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
And as always, thanks for speaking the truth.
Robert, thank you for the call. Let me go to Gary now in Fredericksburg, line 3. Gary, you're on the Vince Colonnade Show. Hello, sir.
Hey, Vince, thanks for taking my call. Hey, this Airman thing, I feel sorry. I feel sorry for all the uniformed service members who are now going to have to sit through hours and hours of fire safety training, flammable material handling training, touchy-feely training. You know what I call this? I call this thinning the herd. And we need to thin the herd till we get back to war fighters. So what do? We fight wars and win battles. We haven't won a war since World War II, and that's because of poor leadership, weak-minded people. You want to learn how to win a war? Watch what Israel is doing. That's how you win a war. And that's what I got to say about this.
Yeah, by the way, Israel is fighting a war. Just to be crystal clear, I think the way the Western media broadly has interpreted a lot of events is like, oh, it goes tit for tat. They kill 5 people, we kill 5 people. That's how this works. No, Israel is fighting a war to stop the terror attacks from ever happening again. That's the point of it.
What did Golda Meir say? How can you negotiate with people who strap bombs on their own babies and send them in the crowds? You can't.
Yeah.
So what's Israel doing? You take them out. You wipe them out.
They're trying to stop that. All right. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate that. Let's see. I've got Mike in Sunshine now, line 6. Mike, you're on the Vince Colonnade Show. Hello, sir.
Hey, Vince. Thanks for taking my call. God bless those 2 men, your past callers, for their service. But how does a man like this airman get into the service? Well, one way is you require mandate a shot of every serviceman, and then those with integrity or a conscientious objection, they show them the door. And then it's called entryism. It's a communist tactic. You bring in men like this airman And
what was the phrase? I'm sorry.
No,
So, Mike, what was the phrase you just used? Entryism?
it's entryism.
Go ahead.
Okay. And then you show men like this into the door. They come in the door. And that's how it's done. And rest assured, all these military-aged men coming across our border, they are going to be given citizenship by enlisting. And what values, what kinship do they have with current Americans? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Mike, a lot of decent people shown the door in the United States military, as to Mike's point. And over these past few years, driving out a lot of great patriots, a lot of hard workers, people who love this country, who took the oath and were ready to defend it to the death, and then forced to undergo all sorts of, political stuff by the left. And it's just been a total disaster. And now look at the recruiting. Now what's happening to our military? They're having a massive recruiting crisis right now for the United States military. And they're having to lower the standards to admit people in just to get enough bodies into the military. So this is the end result of all of this. And now this is crazy, just happening outside, again, the Israeli embassy yesterday. All right, let me move on to some other issues right now and quickly, because we've got some audio coming into us. Let me see here. I have some audio of Winsome Sears, the lieutenant governor. So today in the state senate, which Winsome Sears is the president of the state senate, being lieutenant governor of the state. Listen to this exchange. It involves her basically handling standard floor business while she's overseeing the floor, and the senator who is addressing Winsome Sears is Senator Danica Roem. I think birth name Daniel Roem. This is a male senator, but presents as a woman in the state senate and is considered is it the first openly transgender lawmaker in the country or in Virginia? I forget the distinction, but the idea is this is Winsome Sears talking to State Senator Dan Roem, and Winsome Sears keeps referring to him as sir during this exchange, and it creates chaos in the Senate. We've pulled all of this together. Greg Price on Twitter has pulled all of this together very helpfully for us. Take a listen.
The senator may state it. Madam President, how many votes would it take to pass this bill with the emergency clause?
That would be 4/5, Senator.
And what would be the exact number for that, Madam President?
Yes, sir. That would be 32. The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators...
Okay, all right, so now a jump cut. So that apparently created some drama on the floor. People are looking around. You can't say that. Sir, you can't say... This is like an emperor has no clothes moment. Winsome Sears just barrels ahead. And so now they went into... Apparently the Senate had to go into 2 separate recesses so everyone could process their emotions today. And Winsome Sears finally steps back up onto the dais to give some sense of how she feels about all of this drama.
I am not here to upset anyone. I am here to do the job that the people of Virginia have called me to do, and that is to treat everyone with respect and dignity. I myself have at times not been afforded that same respect and dignity. But in this body, and as long as I am president of the Senate, and by the grace of God, I will be treated with respect and dignity, and I will treat everyone else with respect and dignity.
Yeah. So I'm just here to treat people with respect and dignity. By the way, just to be crystal clear about the historic nature of all of the people involved in this, Winsome Sears is the first woman to be lieutenant governor of Virginia. And everyone's acting like the historic person in this equation is Dan Roem, the guy who is presenting himself as a woman. And, well, that's the first openly transgender. How could you say that? Winsome Sears is the first actual woman to be lieutenant governor of Virginia. So how can you say that? You're going to police her for acknowledging reality? And by the way, she treated Dan Roem with total respect. She just said, yes, sir, she answered the question. That was literally the definition of how you're supposed to treat somebody with respect. And she's being attacked for it in the bizarro world in which we now occupy. So there's Winsome Sears. Good for her. We're gonna try and get Winsome Sears on the program, chat with her about this entire exchange. But unbelievable what's happening in our country. Meanwhile, I do want to talk to you about what's going on with MSNBC's Joy Reid. She's losing it. Do I have this, the Joy Reid audio? Where's it? Oh, I see it here. All right. Joy Reid films social media videos. In addition to all of her time on MSNBC, she also films social media videos. And on those social media videos, she's even crazier, if you can believe it. If there's a space, this is why social media was a bad idea for a lot of newsrooms, because you had reporters and things that really did need editors who could say the craziest possible things without any filter whatsoever. And people started waking up, they're like, wait a second, that guy's crazy. Yeah, well, Joy Reid has been expressing that in so many ways, even on the air. And here she is. Now, I'm told this audio is fantastic. I haven't actually heard it yet. So you and I are going to do this together. Here's Joy Reid talking about how we need to not have as many children. So she's taking the position that we need to thin the herd. We need to abort more babies in the United States. It's time, because as if we haven't done enough of that.
The United States has a population of north of 327 million people. Why do we need more kids? I mean, your party, Senator Tuberville, is the one screaming that 10 million immigrants, which I don't even know that number even makes any sense, because it doesn't.
Those are the Biden administration numbers, by the way. When she's citing the 10 million, those are just the numbers that have come across the border and reported into Border Patrol. She's like, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Have streamed into the country since Joe Biden has been president, and you're claiming that that's too many people, that if more people come into the southern border...
That's not actually the substance of his complaint at all. She has no idea what she's talking about. He's not complaining that there are too many people in the United States. He's saying there are too many foreign nationals illegally coming here.
Some sort of crisis because we've got too many people and we've got no more space and we can't afford more people.
The too many people thing is a left-wing conspiracy theory. We have too many people. It's been going on for many decades. They've always said this, that the real plague on Earth is people. In fact, it forms the basis for most of the movie villains that you and I are aware of, all of the dystopian movies. You know, even the Avengers, the whole concept of the big villain at the end of the Avengers, Thanos, is that there are too many creatures, too many people. We need to eliminate them. It's the source of his villainy. And so, of course, Joy Reid is all on board.
But now you're saying we need more kids? Can you explain who's the we and what's the purpose?
That would be you and I, Dumby, like the American citizens. Need more children. We're not meeting the replacement rate. And one of the reasons that this is so important is the economic implications, because people like Joy Reid have impoverished us. Democrats have driven this country into the ditch, oftentimes with some help from Republicans. And in order for us to even meet the basic financial requirements of keeping this whole thing going, we need babies. We need new Americans.
You're also a senator from the state of Alabama. God help the people there. Are you saying the state of Alabama needs more kids?
Yes.
Why does the state of Alabama need more kids? More kids for what?
It's utility for her. Notice how she talks about humans as if they don't have intrinsic value or worth. They're just cogs for her. How many people does she need to clean her house? That's all she cares about. That's all. And are they really people? Does she even know their names?
There was a time when the state of Alabama absolutely needed more kids because, you know, Alabama was a slave state. And the mandate of the planter class in Alabama was for black women to produce more kids because those kids were property and they could work more kids.
Imagine having only one sheet of music from which to sing. Gets old after a while.
And make more money on their plantations. Are you saying the state of Alabama needs more kids because you think that those populations will include people who are maybe destitute and desperate?
Does she have any children? Does Joy Reid have any kids? She has 3 kids? Really? No way. What are those kids like? Can we do like some sort of GoFundMe to rescue them?
Enough if you kick out the immigrants like a lot of y'all want to do, and you could make them do the work that the migrants are doing now? Because that kind of sounds...
Does she just argue with herself on social media all day? Is that what these are? Like, Tommy Tuberville's not there. He's not there to present his side of the argument at all. Like, what? Like, she's not even attempting to... Like, that bears no resemblance to anything that would ever come out of Tommy Tuberville's mouth. So she's just arguing with this straw man and set on fire as if it was a U.S. airman standing outside of an Israeli embassy.
Slavery-ish. Is the state of Alabama the we? And is that the why?
And the uptalk here is really. Did she go to Harvard? She went to Harvard, they tell me.
I mean, you're also a white guy. Are you saying the we is white folks need more kids?
I knew the uptalk was coming. I just could feel it. You can ready? I've only got, how much more time do I have on this? 24 seconds? I bet we have more uptalk.
Is this like a great replacement thing where you're concerned that there's not enough white people in the population versus the growth of the Latino population, the black population, the Asian American population, and so the we is white people?
There it is.
Need to make white women have more kids, and that's the we, and that's the why? Because it's a little creepy. A little Handmaid's Tale-y, don't you think?
So she just published that? She didn't rewatch it to make sure it sounded good? She didn't pause for like a moment. She was like, is this a product that I should share with the public? Is this a worthwhile demonstration of my skill and ability? Publish it. Who cares? One take. That's all we need. Joy Reid. Holy cow. She'll get fired for one of those videos at some point, but it's got to be truly crazy. Actually, that was truly crazy. I don't know. Maybe there is no line. It's 5:53. The White House sends deepest condolences to the family of Laken Riley. They say people should be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. No word on if those people include Joe Biden. Coming up next, the great one, Mark Levin.